And I think that's also a good starting point for maybe those that have never heard of these terms, monolithic or modular blockchains. So maybe you can explain that. And I always love to give analogies that might be easier for understand for the crypto community. With this thought in mind that Bitcoin is the internet of money, Ethereum is the world's computer, kind of like narrative or analogy. What is Celestia in that context? And maybe you can explain the term modular blockchains.
Yeah, well, I like to think of Celestia as the internet of modular blockchains in combination with Cosmos. And what that means is that, first let's talk about modular blockchains. So modular blockchains are a new approach to blockchain architectures where, all like blockchains since Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, even every Cosmos chain are built in this way where you have a single protocol that does all the work. So all of the nodes on that network do all of the work associated with running a fully fledged blockchain. And fundamentally, that causes a lot of constraints and trade-offs that you can't really escape in that paradigm. And so what a modular blockchain is it rethinks how to build a blockchain from basic principles. And what you realize is that you can actually separate a lot of the functions of a blockchain into separate layers and separate protocols. And then when you do that, you actually break the box wide open and you get the ability to have much better properties when it comes to scaling, when it comes to flexibility, things that the Cosmos ecosystem really cares about. You get sovereignty, and it becomes very easy actually to deploy new blockchains for the first time and innovate in a way that you couldn't before. So that's what a modular blockchain is. And then the reason I say internet of modular blockchains is because Celestia is very aligned with the Cosmos vision of community computers and the fact that the future is not one blockchain to rule them all. It's not a world computer like Ethereum or Solana where everyone is using the same sort of like virtual machine and every application runs on one mega computer. It's more like sort of the personal computing revolution where everyone has their own computer that they get to personalize, except in the blockchain case it's more like on a community basis. So and the point is that you want to be able to connect those computers together in a secure way, and that's kind of where the internet of blockchain vision comes from. So Celestia is just what we believe is that in order to achieve that internet of blockchains vision completely, we need to actually build those blockchains in a modular way.
Can you maybe give some general examples, and then maybe we can also later get into some of the more practical projects also that are already in the works of what modularity in crypto would enable, and like what specifically can you separate? You just mentioned that kind of like the way you see the future of crypto and maybe even the end game is that you have different technologies that you can combine. So how does that work? And maybe can you give broad examples of what exactly you mean by that?
Yeah. So in terms of separating the functions, there's, I would say, at their core, probably three key functions to separate. So there's consensus, which is ordering of the blocks or the transactions, right? Like everyone needs, when you're building these shared decentralized applications, everyone needs to have an agreement on like what happened when, right? And so that's what consensus does. And then there is another function called data availability, which is that for these chains to be secure, you have to make sure that the data behind them has been published and that anyone can look at it and audit it and see what's happening. If that data is actually not published and someone's actually hiding it, then you can't actually have a transparent, secure system. So data availability is that function. And then the last one is what we call execution, which is basically where the applications live. It's where smart contracts take place. It's where most users will actually interact with, whereas consensus and data availability are sort of like more like infrastructure level. And execution is where you make sure that the rules of the blockchain are being followed. So, I mean, the whole point of a blockchain is that you can, establish certain rules that can't be broken. For example, in Bitcoin, I can't just mint myself a bunch of Bitcoin, or I can't send you more Bitcoin than I own. Those are sort of the fundamental rules. And you want to make sure that they're not broken, because if they're broken, then the whole system is not useful. So those are the three main components. And what this would actually look like in practice is, for example, you have a protocol like Celestia that is a consensus and data availability layer. So it handles those base two components. And then you would have what you would call a rollup, which is a type of blockchain that does execution. So it just says verifiable execution, and it actually plugs into a data availability layer like Celestia to secure it and to sort of power the decentralization of it. So, people are probably familiar with a lot of different rollup projects, like whether it's Optimism or Arbitrum or Starkware or zkSync. And there's so many, right? I can't list them all. And there's a lot more that are being built currently, because as this modular revolution kind of grows.
Yeah.